Hello and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia and I've got a really fun guest tonight. Um, he's a creator, he's a writer, he's a project manager of a company called Dragon Multimedia LLC. I'm going to bring him on in a moment. But before we begin, I just want to make sure you guys can get to his website at any time throughout the show. Don't leave the show, but check it out. You can get all his social media, see all the projects that they're doing. But let me bring on my guest. His name is Connery Cateni. I'm sorry if I messed it up. Let's bring him on. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Did I mess up your name?
No, you did it perfectly.
Oh, awesome. So thank you for coming on. Um, and I want to say I've been looking at your work since we've been talking and seeing the stuff. You have an Indiegogo coming out, which we're going to talk about. Um, a lot of cool stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been looking at your website. I have some questions there. But before we begin and start looking at that, talking about the Indiegogo, can you tell us about yourself, how you got into comics, who were some of your inspirations, and Studio PLKS says hello. So hello.
Well, hello there. He's actually my buddy of mine.
Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in. As well as who's this? I'm bad again.
His name is Gio. He's a Wild Mew. He's another buddy of mine.
Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. So so tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into comics. I see looks like some animation stuff going on your website.
So it mainly started with a lot of the animation stuff because when I started up my YouTube channel, it was around 2011. There wasn't much I did. I browsed a lot of YouTube and stuff, but it wasn't until, well, I mistakenly thought it was 2011 in previous interviews. It was actually 2014 looking back. I had to double check on that it was around 2014 that I got into the Go Anime game. Now, if you have no idea what Go Anime was, it was a online Flash-based animation tour. It got a little bit of a bad rep because of some of the content that was made with it, but it does have a little bit of a special place in my heart because it did get me started, and it actually got me to meet people like Ron Mew, Studio PLKS, and it actually was one of the bases for what was the precursor to Dragon Multimedia, which was, if you have no idea, it was called Wild Animation Network, which was this small thing Gio had done, and I was like, why don't we make it bigger? And the previous incarnation of it was a bigger group that was full of a bunch of Go animators, but nowadays it's more of the collab company between me and Gio.
Okay.
And the idea is basically I own the WAN name, but basically if I work with Gio, we can use it and he has full rights to use the WAN name. It's just, obviously, it's a very different purpose from what it was before.
Okay.
And it was around 2016 that we started dropping off a little bit off Go Anime because that was when they removed a lot of the older themes and started really making questionable decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we stayed on, at least for Go Anime for Schools, until about 2017, which is when they completely removed the old themes off that version of the site, and then we had basically abandoned it.
Okay. And that's when you went to your YouTube page, or?
So there was a little bit of a break period. And then I got back into reading some comics, a lot of the indie stuff. And that's when I fully started thinking about potentially making this a little bigger, like potentially making my own comic. Because if you have no idea, I'm going to school for film, television, and media arts. But I was like, obviously film, television, it's very expensive. But I'm like,
yeah,
what's a good way to tell my stories in a little bit of a cheaper way that I could do now to not only build some credit, but also help build a brand that I could use to help with future projects with storytelling, like do more potentially of it. And that's when we found my love with comics and fully decided to start pre-production on what would become Shyft.
Okay, and what were you reading comic-wise that kind of inspired you?
It was a lot of the alternative stuff, actually.
Okay. Alterna is a great company.
Mm-hmm.
I have a few friends that actually
Mm-hmm.
do work for them. So that's a they have some great books out there.
Mm-hmm.
Any writers or artists that inspired you to go take the comic
Well, some
format?
of them were J.D. Cauldron. That's a good one. Keith Gleason. He was a good one.
Keith was on the show a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks ago. Good guy.
There are many others as well. Tyson Hess was a good one.
Okay.
I like his style. Again, there were a lot of creatives that I can't think of right now, but they definitely did help really shape what would become not only Shyft but also Dragon Multimedia as a whole.
Yeah. Now, when you started writing, is this comic that we're going to talk about tonight? Which, by the way, guys, this name's Shyft. It's a pretty interesting concept. We'll look at the Indiegogo in a bit. But was that your first comic you wrote, or did you do anything before Shyft?
So obviously we had a few projects before. There was obviously we had a lot of our older projects. Eric in Space and Kristin Konkle were mainly done by Geo. I helped out with Kristin Konkle 3 and In Space, which would be the final installments. We also, ironically, we had also done other projects with like Whip Animations and what would become Studio PLKS. And what happened was, so around, I believe, 2019 and 2020. So, unaware to me at least, Studio PLKS and Mew apparently were starting to team up again. And they thought, so they weren't very impressed with their older Go Animate work, but they were like, now that we got this thing called Vapor, why don't we try making something better?
Hold on one second. I'm sorry to say, what? I'm not familiar with a rapper. What is that?
Vapor Offline is a fan recreation of Go Animate, but it's open source and it's used to help people get into Go Animate while also keeping the legacy themes alive.
Okay.
It's a really cool piece of software.
All right. I've never used Go Animate. My animation background, I've used Adobe Animate, Toon Boom Harmony, Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint, things
Imagine
like that.
a simpler version of
OpenToonz.
Flash.
Okay. All right. I can imagine, but I've never used it. So
You'll see a little more later on.
okay.
But the idea was, while I wasn't aware of it at the time, I later was alerted that Studio PLKS, I found out that, hey, he was doing what would become Oscar and Otto Reborn because he had suggested title ideas, which one of them was We're Oscar and Otto Yay, which, again, if you actually see the show, you'll get at the joke, but it would later become Oscar and Otto Reborn.
Okay.
And so it started, it was around, I didn't get fully involved until around earlier this year, but I did have some input. But it wasn't until early 2021 that I fully got back in with helping out with writing and outlining. And it was also around the same time that we founded Dragon.
Okay. So this is 2020, you're saying?
2021.
Okay, 2021. Sorry.
Since early 2020 was when production started, and then that was when Studio PLKS it was around late 2020, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that he started finalizing development and releasing episodes. Meanwhile, I was focused on Shyft, so. Okay. But once we incorporated everything and we got all our brands into one circle, basically, we started doing a lot more production on Shyft, but also I got more involved in Oscar and Otto Reborn, helped out with title names, title ideas for episodes, outlining, writing. So a lot of stuff helping out.
Yeah. All right. And eventually, you you developed Shyft, correct?
Yes.
And
It's
Shyft your is your comic. You created it and you wrote it, correct?
yes and no. I wrote the original outline. The characters were already set in stone.
Yeah.
But what happened was I brought on Michael Oden, who was such a help to the project. He's a great writer. He's a great outliner. He's a great helper. Basically, he also helped out with the management of the Indiegogo, like helping with the layouts and stuff. He's been
Yeah.
such a help to the project. And what happened was, so I brought him on board to help redo some of the script because I was like, this is good, but the problem is that I'm not 100% confident. And I feel like I could do it a little better. So I brought
Okay.
him on board. We started a friendship, and he helped fine tune the script. He's given me good advice. I'm actually very glad I got him on board, actually, now to think about it, because
Yeah.
some of the original concepts would have never probably popped up without him. And some of the
Okay.
decisions that might have been counteracted might never have been counteracted for the better had Michael not been there.
Okay.
So yeah, we really do have a great creative team, and
That's fantastic. That's important to have. Hold on. I was opening up. The reason I look down sometimes is because I have my Cintiq in front of me, and I open up files on that. And I was having an issue opening up the Shyft image you gave me, but I just got it open. I wanted to share the screen so while we talk, people can see your promo piece. So share my screen here. All right, so this right here is Shyft.
Yep.
And can you share a little? We're going to go to the Indiegogo in a moment, but can you share a little bit about the story, the character, what we see happening?
Yes. So this is the first piece we did. Basically, before any of the pages, before any of it, I asked Ringo, who is the artist, hey, I want you to redesign the character. So we had a lot more of a relaxed design, but once we had chatting with Michael and I fully established what the tone would be and the style, Ringo came back with what would become this version of Sunny, which I'll explain a little more about later.
Okay.
And that's when this piece was made. So this is the widescreen version, which was based on an animation that we got through Fiverr, which the guy on there did such a great job with the animation, but obviously this is just a still from it.
Okay.
And obviously this is the 1920 by 1080 version of the cover, the regular variant. And so the elevator pitch for Shyft is that Sunny, who you see in front of you, has a secret. It's one that she's been planning on using to change the world and become a hero. Now, the moment is here, and she's unsure if she can rise to the occasion. Enter the world of Shiobia and discover the secrets of shifters and the role they play in a changing world.
All right. Well, I like that. There's a comment, though, I just want to go to real quick. Moving Company Factory says, is that software desktop you developed? I'm assuming
Rapper? No, I did not develop Rapper. That was other people. We just happened to use it.
Okay. And for Go Animate users, Rapper users, those are softwares that actually have pre-made like backgrounds and characters that you end up moving yourself, correct?
They do have pre-made, but they have a very awesome character creator.
Okay.
And it's very, like, you would be surprised what you could do with. Like, you can basically make characters with just heads. You can make characters with no heads and then make it so that the head can move around. Like, we've gone way past what the original Go Animate, like, what we were limited to. And we've really been not, I don't like using this word, but I would say abusing the software because we really are pushing it to its limits.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look up this software. I mean, I'm accustomed to working differently. I don't know if I can move to another software, but but I'm interested in learning about all the different softwares that are out there. So I'll definitely check this out. So let's get back to Shyft. So the character's name is Sunny.
Yep.
And this was an animation you have. Now, is the animation you're talking about the one we saw on the website?
Yes.
Well, I saw on the website. So let's go to the website so people can. Well, actually, before we go to the website, let's move to the Indiegogo.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me stop.
Can you 3D flat layers? Moving comics, if you could further elaborate, that would be great.
Yeah. Are you talking about in
Because there is a place there is a backwards to forwards, so there's a little bit of 3D where if you want something in front of a character, you can, but it's not 3D, it is 2D. And it is a little bit more limited, but obviously it was originally drag and drop, so it's that kind of animation, so it's not as advanced as something like, yeah, I'm not 100% sure if Rapper can do that because I don't know what Z space is, unfortunately.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just opening this up a little bit more.
Not a problem.
All right. So, oh, he's saying like in After Effects, Animate Z Access. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the software either. I use After Effects all the time. And I'm in that rotation with the Z
But
Access.
chances are, I don't believe so. It's a very simplistic app, as I was trying to mention before. So obviously, when we're pushing it to its limits, we really are pushing it to its limits at times. Like how with some of the head movements at times and some of the things we can do, it's very impressive, especially for the software. Especially since it was meant to be just drag and drop and very simplistic. But again, it's not saying that our efforts are useless. It's that it's a very different type of app.
Okay. So here, this is the Indiegogo page. It launches officially
Friday.
This Friday?
Yes. It was originally going to launch Sunday, but we decided to coincide it with the launch party, which would have been the pre-launch party, which would have been a 2-day, but we decided to make it a 1-day, and we scheduled it Friday.
Okay. Sounds good. So we got Sunny here.
Yep.
Sunny's the hero of the story, and she's being trained most of her life for something more, but things are a bit different when something crashes through her work. Okay. What is a shifter, or shift for short? So at the heart of our story is the question, what is Shyft? Short answer is simple: a creature with the ability to shift its appearance into a more durable, animalistic one. For a long answer, well,
let's just say it's a lot more complicated.
Okay. So this is all anthropomorphic characters living in the world you've created?
Yes and no. Some people are humans, and some are obviously a little more fantasy-based, like elves and stuff like that. But again, it's kind of a mixed universe.
Okay. Let's see if we can watch the video. I don't know, you guys at home, I don't know if the sound's going to play. I have sometimes issues for some reason with my sound playing through StreamYard. I hope you hear it. It's only 45 seconds, so if you can't hear it, make sure you go to the Indiegogo page, which I'll share in the comments later, and you can listen to what it sounds. Which, by the way, I like the voice actor you got for this. When I listened to it, it sounded very like a nice character for an anime, you know?
Again, I do thank you for the compliments, because again, we really did get someone who it took a lot of research, because again, originally we were going to do a motion comic. We're still basically putting it on hold because we don't know if we're going to do it, obviously, because of funding.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things was we were looking at voice actors and actresses. And one of them happened to be this voice actress named Jerry Shanner.
Mm-hmm.
And she's on Voice Funny. And we were thinking, okay, who's a good voice of Sunny that would fit? And I was like, I think Jerry would do well, because it's a mix between like the confident voice, like Morgana, and a little more of a childish voice like what we were looking at for Sunny. So it's a good mix in between of what we would want, while also being a little more of a silent narrator.
All right. Well, let's give it a listen. I hope you guys can hear it at home. If you can't, please make sure you go check it out.
I can't hear it. I think that there might be something going on with the audio output.
Yeah.
I could share the closed caption one if needed, but if not, we'll just let it play.
Okay. If you guys at home, I know you said you couldn't hear it, but if you guys at home heard it, please let us know in the comments. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I'm gonna post the link right now so you guys can go to the Indiegogo page and hear it yourself. If you didn't, okay. Hopefully it gets on my Facebook page. I've been having an issue posting my comments to Facebook for some reason. Anyway, so that is Shyft. So basically, Sunny is a shifter, and is this character that was behind her? Is that her who she shifts into?
Yes, it's basically her first major form that she can shift into, because the idea is that she's obviously a newbie, and her shift form, or her strings form as she calls it, is the first one that she envisions herself when she was a kid. Like, this is who I want to be. And unfortunately, it's not quite there yet, because the colors are obviously similar to herself, which is a bit of conflict because she doesn't like that it looks like herself. But later on, as it fully develops,
excuse me, yeah,
she gains access to more forms, but also she gains a new version of this form.
So is this kind of like how like you got Pokemons who evolve into different different versions, like in
Sort of.
Okay.
Because the idea is you gain access to all these forms, but obviously it's not permanent. It's kind of a little bit, if you're going to use the Pokemon argument, it's a little more like Digimon if you're going to go there.
Okay.
Because they can still shift back and forth.
Okay. I get it. And since we can't show any of the rewards or anything going on until this officially launches, which, by the way, you guys can sign up to see the launch over here. What are people going to get for donating? I mean, you don't have to give me everything. Just give me some ideas of what people will get for donating.
We have the regular edition, which will be about $10, but there's no shipping charge. So basically, in the $10, you pay the shipping. It's the same for everybody, and it's an all-in-one price. There is the special edition, which is called the cover B and C variant, which is a special edition of the book with a little bit more behind the scenes and stuff, and it's a little bit better with the quality of the printing, and it's also a special double side cover where you get two variants. There is the B cover, which is the reason why it's called B and C was that was the choice of the covers that we decided. It would be cover out of the three we had chosen cover B and cover C. Cover B is done by a guest artist named Badu, and she did a great job on her piece.
Okay, and I'm looking forward to seeing these, by the way, when they appear on the Indiegogo. So I'm sorry.
I have a work in progress if you want to see it.
If you want to share the screen, I'm happy to. I'll stop my screen share. We'll share yours, and we'll go back to mine later.
Mm-hmm. So let me pull it up. So obviously, this one's a little bit more of a work in progress because it shows both. But share a screen. This is the cover B and C variant. So the one on the left is by guest artist Badu, and the one on the right is by our own Ringo. And
Okay.
the duo team, Ringo and Laura Adams, who
Okay.
is his colorist.
Yeah. I'm gonna just zoom in my screen for a second because it's hard for me to see here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I like what I'm seeing here.
It's two different takes on the fight in issue 1
Mm-hmm.
that basically bring it into two different directions.
Yeah.
Like when you read the book, you'll notice it's very different, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously with special edition, we wanted to go a little all out with some of the stuff, so that's what we decided for Shyft.
All right. No,
special edition.
Listen. I mean, I until I see the finished pieces, it's hard to tell a lot of stuff. But I can see the composition.
Mm-hmm.
I like the composition. I like the
Mm-hmm.
colors that I'm seeing. I tend to geek out over art constantly. Right here, this piece, you can't even see my mouse moving. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys at home can. But on cover B, the back cover, I actually really enjoy that composition.
Mm-hmm.
For the back cover on that a lot.
By the way, do you want to see what cover C looks like?
I'd be happy to.
Let me pull it up.
Anything you want to show, I'm happy to see.
Because this is a bit of an exclusive, because I haven't shown this yet. This is the final version of cover C.
Okay.
So let me pull it up. Give me 1 second to pull it up. And so I'll pull that down for the time being. So with cover C, we asked, if you have no idea, so for the mailing list, there is going to be, if you are part of the mailing list, you'll get a special link.
Okay.
And while it closes Friday, there will be an extension period during the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, you can still join the mailing list if you are interested in it. Mm-hmm. There will be a time where a special edition of the book, of the special edition, yes, a special edition of the special edition, where you can get a very limited edition of the book that will only be available to mailing list backers.
Okay, cool.
So if you have no idea, first I'll show the artwork, and then I'll get into what it is. So, okay, let me take this down. There we go. Now let me choose this one. This is cover C, the official reveal.
Nice. I'm going to enlarge it so I can see it a little bit better for myself. And who's the artist on this one here?
Vengo. It's the same one who did the art in the book.
Okay.
And obviously, it's a little bit different from the art in the book with a little bit of the roughness, but it obviously does show his style, especially in the piece. And we're super happy to have him not only do another cover, but also be a part of the project.
All right. I think that's looks
and
nice.
So another thing is, when I mentioned that the mailing list has special edition, if you like this cover or you like the later Badu cover or the B cover, there'll be a very special black and white version where a lot of the color will be gone, and it's similar to those black and white variants. There'll be an inked version of the cover B, and because this one is lineless, a black and white variant of cover C that will only be available to mailing list subs. So if you like the cover and prefer it black and white or prefer the inked version of either cover, please join the mailing list. If you do not, you will have an extension period of only 2 days to join. Otherwise, we're shutting after we send the last email Sunday. it's done. The link will not be sent out to any more mailing list subs. It's basically you had your chance, and now your only option is the standard cover B and C variants.
Okay. I mean, listen, you do what you got to do, man. You get people in there, get them to get this special one here. It's awesome.
We originally were planning a bit of a early access, but after we decided it needed more refining, it wouldn't work out very well with the demand we were looking at, and it didn't seem like even with Kickstarter or Indiegogo, we would have to fully launch it. And if people went on and saw it launch but didn't see any tiers, they'd be confused. So we were like, you know what? Let's give back the mail list backers a little bit of a special treat, because we said there would be a special reward. And so we decided obviously the work in progress variant, as we call it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move over to your website so people can see your website. They can get to your social media, which, by the way, I posted all your social media links into the comments, so you guys make sure you check out the how to access I would say Dragon Media. It's Dragon Multimedia, actually. So let's share right here. And we're going to go here and share. So now we're looking at your website. We'll go to the first one. So just when you come on, most people, you'll see Shyft, and you'll be able to click on it. They tell you, you're a little bit about, your recent blog posts.
Yep.
All right. So let's take a look. So this one is Dalston. Can you tell us a little bit about?
Basically, Dalston is the first major project by my buddy Gio, who basically hasn't really done a big project like this in a long time, and this is basically his official return to not only YouTube but also Vapor with a big project.
Okay.
And it's scheduled for a late 2022 launch on YouTube, and it's really is a for fun piece that really highlights some of our earlier work while also pushing the limits of Vapor.
Okay. And this animation I'm looking at, this is all, even the Oscar that just popped on, this is all Vapor.
Yes.
Okay.
Except Shyft, everything else is Vapor offline.
Okay. So you guys do more animation than actual comics at the moment?
Yes and no, because technically, if we're being honest, Shyft is the only real project that has fully got my involvement, because with Dalston, I'm a executive producer, so I help with some of the writing, but that's mainly more Gio's project, which is why you see Wild Animation Network instead of Dragon, because it's more a collab project.
Okay.
And Oscar and Otto Reborn, while I do have a little bit more involvement, I'm not the creator, so it's more not Trace. Sorry, I'm confusing another friend with a friend, but it's actually Studio PLKS's project.
Okay.
And Gio and me obviously help out with Wild Animation Network and Studio Mew, so obviously it's not technically we're doing more animations, it's that as of right now, because we're putting in the current project section some of the other projects that I'm helping out with, it's going to even out eventually. You'll see a little more projects from me and other creators that will be comics, since it is multimedia for a reason. But as of right now, because for what we have to show, yes, there is a little more animation, but that's because, again, we started Dragon earlier this year, and it's obviously, since we're still building our portfolio with content and comic projects and other projects from Multimedia, obviously it's going to take some time.
Okay. Obviously. So if I look at past projects on here.
Yep. Obviously, to fully build the brand, we had to put some of our the only brand that really had existed before was Wild Animation Network, which is why you only see Oscar and Otto, Kristin, Konkle, and Eric in Space. Because unfortunately, everything else is brand new. Like Slash is brand new, Dragon is brand new.
Mhm.
The new version of Wan is brand new, even though it's the oldest of the brands. West Corps, though it was retired, was brand new. So obviously, it was definitely. Obviously, we wanted to build up a little bit of portfolio. So you see the original Oscar and Otto, which is nowhere near as good as the new stuff, but again, it is part of our history. So we obviously have to treat it with respect. Then
Can
you got
you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you were saying?
No, I was going to say, can you give us a little bit of these that we're showing right now? Can you give us a little background on kind of like the story? Sell us the story, because if you're you're bringing them back, tell us about them.
Okay, so with Oscar and Otto, the idea is that it's a comedy series. It was a short mini series of episodes where there are two brothers named Oscar and Otto. Oscar he's full of energy, he's always happy, but he's partly, well, not really brain dead, but more mixed with his knowledge. So he has issues with obviously thinking things through, while Otto is the more brain of the group, but he's also a lot more emotionally driven. Because if, for example, Oscar gets on his nerves, Otto will have a freakout.
Mhm.
Like, he does get angry at Oscar a lot of times.
Yeah. Okay. And what about this Kristin Konkle? Is that the artist or the name of the series?
It was originally it started out as a fan movie. Like, Geo was friends with Kristin Konkle, so he made a movie about her. And then later on, as we started working on other projects, we sort of built out this Wild Animation Network universe, which is what helped out with Eric in Space, and why the two series had a bit of a crossover, which would be the last big project for a while.
Mm-hmm. And how long are these films?
They're about 30 minutes to an hour. They're not really that long.
Okay.
Because especially the first one, since no offense to Geo at all, we didn't really know what we were doing. Especially at that point, it wasn't until really the sequel that we fully got the skills. When I joined on production with Kristin Konkle 3, that was when we fully got our writing skills up to snuff. But we still were limited by time frame, and we had to rush 3 and 4 due to 3, people just wanted it out. And 4, the old themes are getting removed, so we had to release it before it was too late.
Okay. And if I go to watch the whole series, is that YouTube it's going to take me to?
Yes, it is a YouTube link.
Okay.
I'd advise not clicking it because while it does work, it's not as good as Reborn, so it wouldn't be as good of a
But
time.
will it give us the idea of what the show is going to be about?
No, because it's a little bit different from Reborn.
Okay, so Reborn now has their first season online. Is that another YouTube link?
Yes. I actually have a trailer for it do you want me to show it?
I don't know if we're going to be able to hear it. Maybe it'll work from your end. The moving company says 30 minutes to an hour is broadcast length. Pretty good, I'd say. That is good. I was going to say that is a nice size. So yeah, try to share it on your end. If I can't hear the sound or the audience can't hear the sound, they'll let us know, and I'll watch it privately when you can send it to me.
Okay. So let me pull
let me stop the share here.
So the reason why I say not to watch the original was because we took some of the flaws with the original Oscar and Otto the original Oscar and Otto, and we fully, obviously with Rapper, we got a new opportunity to go back to these characters in the universe.
Yeah.
So we fully decided to reboot the series, especially Studio PLKS, who helped improve his animating style as well as his writing from his older work, and that's what helped created Oscar and Otto Reborn.
Okay.
So let me pull it up. Okay, and let me So I'm going to pull it up for everyone. Just let me share. Oh, I can share a video file actually.
Yes, you can. Oh, so that might work better. I don't know. We'll see.
Let me pull it up. Here we go. Now.
All right, I'm going to pull this over.
Yep. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I can hear it.
What the?
Wow! Give me those pizzas! Someone called my name. Oscar. Oh, a scary burglar! You'll never take our stuff! Oh crap!
Say hello to my little friend.
Who said we're friends?
Meet the destructive emergency lice ongoing uproar subduing extermination ray, or delouser for short.
Oh, well that's just wonderful. Now I need to reboot the server.
No, just stop. That was just dreadful.
What are you doing? Simple. We were on the cusp of committing a murder. You know, I think we learned a very valuable lesson.
Oh, and what would that be?
That Oscar is a close-minded as-hat and we should never trust him with anything.
As much as I'd loathe to admit it, I wholeheartedly agree with that statement.
Me too!
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the people, if you guys want to comment, if you heard it. I heard it. It was an interesting piece, you know, kind of nice little flashes and glimpses and stuff. But I had a little sound issue on my end, and I don't know if it was part of the animation or what, but I kind of had a little staticky echo going on in my earphones. So it could have been my earphones. I don't know.
It was definitely your headphones because I tested it out before on 2 different devices, the video trailer. Just make sure there were no issues, and there was no static when I had it rendered, and so
okay, so it was my headsets because it was a little hard to hear until the music ended. They kind of had a weird sound to me, but I'll, you know, if that's, it says check out the trailer on here. Oh wait, that's for the Dalston.
That one is really long, and it's more about a Q&A and a casting call. So I would recommend showing it because again, it is a bit long and.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, so Sam Dalston. I don't think we talked about that yet, correct?
No, we didn't.
So why don't you share a little bit about Sam Dalston's about?
So Sam Dalston is about these 3 boys who go to the same school, and it's years after basically every other One Animation Network show. It's years later. It's about the same time as Reborn.
Okay.
And so Sam Dalston obviously was named after Eric's son, and basically the 2 villains basically want to destroy the city. So the 3 boys have to team up and help stop the villains, while Eric's son has to deal with not only living up to his father, but also having to deal with social anxiety on his own.
Okay. Interesting. And who is who in here?
So the middle one is Dallas.
Okay.
The left one, I believe, is Houston, and the right one is Antonio.
Okay. All right. And which one's Oscar and which one's Otto? I didn't know.
Oscar's the one on the left, and Otto's the one on the right.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just checking times because, like I told you earlier, I got to kind of be in a time frame tonight. But right now, the main project that you're completely involved in is Shyft.
Yes.
And if I click this link, it's going to take me to the Indiegogo page?
Correct.
Okay.
It used to go to a blog post, but now that we got the Indiegogo up, I updated the website to help.
It'll go to here. So
Yes.
when people sign up to get the video here, on Friday this will launch.
Yes. Everybody who's on the mailing list will get a special link to get the special mailing list variant.
Okay. And what time is this going to launch? I heard you say a launch party you were going to have. Is that
We were
gonna
looking at launching it between Friday, 7 to 7:30 p.m. EST.
Okay. And are you going to have? And you said you're going to have a launch party, like a YouTube type of thing.
Yes.
Or?
We're still chatting with some details, but we're looking at doing it with our good friend Piper, who helped out with early on with promotion, and has been such a great helper on the channel. And we're also looking at doing it from a local comic store. We are still finalizing details there too. But tomorrow we'll announce the big announcement about basically that where we're doing it, basically when we're streaming from, the channel will be on. It's going to be really great.
Okay. Do you want to give a shout out to the comic shop? I like people to promote comic shops on here so people know where to get comics.
We're looking at two right now. We're looking at Sarge's, and we're looking at, let me pull up the other name just to make sure I don't butcher it. But the idea is we're leaning towards one of them, but obviously I want to double check to make sure that I'm not screwing this up. So we were looking at Sarge's and Most Excellent,
And
because we were able to, they were two that were extremely helpful, and they were basically helping with promotion. Sarge's let us go during Free Comics Book Day to help promote the comic, while Most Excellent let us come for the weekend while a certain Vic was there, and we were able to help hand out some business cards, and as well as leave some behind for basically to help promote it.
that's fantastic. And I don't like to people have to say where they're from, but can you give us the town or city these comic shops are in so people know where to go? If you're able to share.
Chances are we're leaning towards Most Excellent right now, and they have a location in Enfield and Manchester.
Okay. All right. And we got a comment here from Moving Comic Factory. It says, are you considering other paid platforms for Shyft, iTunes, or other on-demand platforms?
Here's what we're doing. So the plan is we're going to do the Indiegogo. We're going to, I don't believe we have a digital tier yet, but once we finish up the comic, we'll start selling it at comic shops. We're debating whether to go with Liberty, Alterna, or basically either a publisher or distributor. We're basically still deciding that, but as of right now, we're focusing on the campaign. We're still debating if we should do a digital release. We're debating whether we could do a watermark release to avoid it getting leaked or pirated, because we understand that while piracy is a big issue and you can't stop it, obviously we do prefer if people would obviously help support us, especially since we're a very indie company, we would prefer especially to help get the funding so we can do other projects. And so we're still debating on whether to do digital, but we are planning at least other paid platforms for stuff like, for example, we have an in demand. We are planning in demand, depending on how well it goes with Indiegogo. We are planning a comic release, so you will see it in stores. We are still debating what we're going to do afterwards, but as of right now, we're focusing everything on the Indiegogo.
Okay. All right, that's great. You guys have a plan, which is important, and you have and you were mentioning some publishing companies like Alterna and stuff. You've spoken to them about publishing through them, and
I have chatted with people at Indie Vault who offered us, obviously, Varian. Hey, don't tell him there's a werewolf in it. He hates it. Basically,
and that's
he helps out.
Their Liberty, right?
Yes, He has Liberty, and we're looking into that. Alterna, Peter Cimetti, great dude. We're looking at that. We're looking at other publishers. We have some friends at other publishers as well who we've chatted with. Ironically, we're looking at, obviously, self-distribution as well. But obviously, it would be more costly, so we're still debating our way to go.
All right. Sounds good. I'm going to wrap up in a moment. But before I wrap up, is there anything we did not talk about that you wanted to make sure we talked about tonight?
Would you like to see some pages of the comic?
I'd be happy to share some pages. Let me stop my screen share, and you could share yours.
Okay, let me make sure I got the right one. So what I'm pulling up is some of the pages from the comic.
Okay.
And obviously, people love to see this stuff, so we're absolutely happy to pull it up. So here is some pages from Shyft that you also see on the Indiegogo.
Cool.
And they're all fully finalized and everything.
Awesome. So I'm going to go back to my screen so I can see it larger. Okay. I like the composition on here.
Mm-hmm. This is more of Ringo's and Laura's work.
Okay.
And obviously this is the major introduction to Bowie, who is the villain of the book.
All right.
And we fully see Sunny in her shifted form, or strings form.
Mm-hmm.
And it fully shows some of the weaknesses of the character while also showing some of her benefits, basically how her characterization, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we also have the next page, which this one's a real good one. A little more characterization, a bit of a fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
And originally we weren't going to have lettering in the scene, but SK, who is a letterer, he decided, hey, I'm going to add some for a test, and we really liked it, so we thought it would fit really well. So that's when you got the did you pull it up?
Oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm still in my zoomed in. I didn't see it pop in. Okay. Let me zoom in.
So obviously the dialogue was added by SK, and while I was a bit hesitant at first, we fully brought it in.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice, again, I'm really liking this panel right here. It's a nice composition. I like that.
And then the last one is a very special one. I'm guessing you can guess why.
Okay, let me add it to stream.
We got a double page.
All right. Which actually I think you sent me as one of the photos I didn't share, but okay.
Yep. So this is obviously one of our big highlight pieces.
Yeah.
And it's a major double page, obviously. So obviously we highlighted a lot because obviously double pages are really cool, but also it shows some of the action while also showing some of a little bit of a comedic turn and some of the silliness.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it kind of has a Wile E. Coyote feel to him right here.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of more comments I just want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I forgot how to say this is your friend Gio here.
Yeah.
It says also when we say that Dalston is going to be unlike any other Go Animate movies, what we mean is that the most modern GA movies are not that great.
Oh, trust me. If you search up YouTube Go Animate movies, you'll find a lot of really big duds.
Mm-hmm.
What comes to mind is a lot by, like, if you see a lot of Joan 4444 movies, they're really generic and terrible. Like, they're almost the same plot, like almost over and over again.
All right. And then Studio PLKS says, yeah, by the way, Dalston actually set a little over a decade in the future while Oscar and Otto Reborn is set excuse me, during present times.
Mhm.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, we're still finalizing details, so like I said, I'm not as involved in it as Shyft, obviously, so some of the knowledge is a bit hit or miss with me. But again, we obviously work together to help with promotion and stuff. And again, I'm just happy to be a part of the project either way. I never thought we would get this far.
No, that's great. I mean, you guys are doing a bunch of stuff that's, you know, that is, seems to be working right now. I mean, you've I'm gonna go watch the stuff myself, but like what you're saying is how things improved from, software, storytelling, all this stuff.
Mhm.
So it's great. You guys worked at one point. You evolved as creators, as artists, as writers, as animators, and you took what technology was able to do, and you're trying to push it to do even more with it. So I
Yeah.
think that's a fantastic thing.
We also improved our quality control as well. We had
Yeah.
a couple scripts we had rejected,
Uh huh.
and one of them was we were going to do a Dave and Buster's episode of Oscar Not a Reborn, which would have been it was red flagged right away because it was a bit of a promotion episode and we didn't like it. So we put it on the cutting room floor and switched out the plot with something completely different, which we thought would fit a little more. So obviously we have improved our quality control, and it's a lot better of a project and production compared to what it was before.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. You've got a creative team, and you guys are working well to keep pushing and keep doing, and that's part of part of storytelling. Sometimes you have to cut stuff out to make something better.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. We have here. What does that say? I recommend sticking with Reborn. The original Oscar and Otto is honestly terrible, nostalgic, but terrible nonetheless. All right. Well, I'll take a look and. At the Reborn, I won't go anywhere near the old stuff then. So
again, it's something with Geo and Studio PLKS. Again, with someone like me, I'm not ashamed to have my older work out there.
Yeah.
But again, they basically prefer to leave their old work behind, which it was one of the jokes in one of their videos was how the old stuff was crap and the new stuff's better, which again, I don't think is wrong, but obviously I have a little bit of a different perspective because I like to keep an open mind and I'm not as embarrassed because I believe that they should be right to archive it. I got into a huge argument with this one guy, and ironically it was over this series called VeggieTale Abridged. And the reason why I got into an argument with him was that he was deleting everything. I was like, dude, why are you deleting it? And he was trying to argue it was because of he's trying to argue it's due to mental health, and it was a lot of other stuff. But as someone with mental health, I was like, dude, mental health is not an excuse. A lot of the stuff is just excuses.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's always going to be out there. So why take it down? It's not like Geo where he privated everything, and chances are, even if it ever comes back, again, he would be the only one to do it. But with something like VeggieTale Bridge, it's already out there and everybody still knows it. The evidence will never go away. It's not like Geo where the evidence really isn't that good because the videos aren't really anything up to snuff. So it was a big argument point.
All right. Oh, we got one more comment. And we're going to end on this comment here. Honestly, sent also completely different from when I had the idea in February. It's originally going to be a series like Reborn, but I had shelved it because of reasons. All right.
Basically, chances are we might bring it back as a series after the movie, but the idea is he shelved it due to creative differences, and it was only when we started really kicking up Oscar Not a Reborn again that Geo brought up the idea. And we're like, dude, this is a really awesome idea. Why don't you continue with it? And that's where we got to this part.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing all the stuff that you guys create. I'll be checking out your pages and your Indiegogo and everything. I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for doing what you're doing and creating and telling stories. I think that's important for everybody. And before we go, do you have any final words you'd like to share?
Thank you for supporting us. Make sure that you check out the website, dragonmultimediallc.com. Make sure you check out our social media. Dragon Multi LLC on Twitch and Twitter. Yep. Connery Cateni, Dragon Multimedia on Facebook. Dragon Multimedia LLC on YouTube. And if you want a quick, easy access to everything, the website Dragon Multimedia LLC, on the bottom of the page, there is links to all the social media. And you can also find the link to the pre-launch page of Shyft. Also on, which will be on Indiegogo, but you can also get teleported there via the Dragon Multimedia site, as well as also links to our work will also be on the site.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to drop you backstage for a minute, do my wrap up, and I'll see you in a moment. All right, man?
Thank you so much.
All right. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming on. All right, guys. So make sure you go to the website that's been scrolling at the bottom, dragonmultimediallc.com. Everything is in the comments. I posted all the links and all the comments there for all the platforms I'm streaming to right now. So please make sure to go support these guys. Check out this Friday. They're going to have their launch party somewhere. Just check out where they're going to have it, support them, go to their Indiegogo, make sure that you support Shyft. And this weekend, though, just here's a couple of little announcements. Number one, next week I'm actually going to be doing 2 streams. I got some guests coming on both Tuesday and Wednesday, so I have a special Wednesday episode. But this Saturday is In Beyond Con. In Beyond Con is happening online. You go to inbeyond.com, or inbeyondcon.com, sorry. You'll find it. So it's INBEON con.com. On Saturday, it's a Saturday and Sunday show virtually. Saturday, I'm going to be doing a live demo on how to animate in Adobe Photoshop. So I think it's at 11. No, I'm sorry. 1. It's either 12 or 1. I forget the time I'm going right now. But if you go to inbeyond.com or con.com, you'll find everything. Find them on Facebook. Find them everywhere. My friend Sebastian is running the show. It's a great group of guys. Great show. Basically, everyone who's nerds around. If you follow them, another podcast. Great stuff. Check them out. But yeah, I'll be on around either noon or 1 doing how to draw or how to animate in Photoshop. So I hope to see you guys on Saturday. Check out inbeyondcon.com and make sure you guys go to dragonmultimediallc.com and support what these guys are doing. I will see you guys next week. I'll hope to see you guys on Saturday as well. All right. Bye, guys.